Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn a Raspberry Pi 4 into a retro gaming powerhouse using Batocera Linux. Whether you want to play classics from the NES era, revisit some of your favorite PlayStation games, or just have a killer arcade setup on the go, this guide will walk you through every step to get you gaming in no time. We're diving into the classics with some epic Dreamcast, PSP, NeoGeo, and PlayStation games. Get ready, because this is going to be a blast from the past. Let's fire it up. First up, you'll need a Raspberry Pi 4. These are cheap to come by, and a micro SD card. I recommend at least a 32GB card to give yourself room for the OS and a bunch of games. Pop that into your computer, and let's get ready to flash it with Batocera. Now head to Batocera's website. Download the Raspberry Pi version of Batocera Linux. And while that's downloading, you'll also need a tool to flash this onto your SD card. I recommend the Raspberry Pi Imager. It's easy to use and free. Once you've got the Raspberry Pi Imager installed, open it up. Select Choose OS, then select the Custom Image option to load the Batocera file you downloaded. Next, choose your SD card and just hit Write. Quick reminder, this will erase everything on your SD card, so double check that you don't have any important files on there. Alright, with Batocera now on our SD card, eject it from your computer, insert it into your Raspberry Pi, and let's set everything up. Connect your Pi to a monitor, plug in a controller or keyboard, and power it up. You should see Batocera boot up in a few moments. On the first boot, Batocera will automatically resize and format the SD card. Just let it do its thing, and in a minute or two, you'll be looking at the main Batocera interface. Now that we're in Batocera, let's get connected. Head to the network settings and connect to your Wi-Fi. Easy, right? Now you can access Batocera from your computer and feel like a tech wizard, even if you just Googled this an hour ago. I did. And if you're using a Bluetooth controller, you can pair it right here. Just put your controller in pairing mode, select it from the Bluetooth menu, and you're good to go. Or, if you're like me and want to avoid Bluetooth drama, plug your controller directly into the Pi with a USB cable. It's a no-fuss, no-hassle solution that's all about instant gaming gratification. Just plug it in, problem solved. Alright, with Wi-Fi set up, we're ready to add some games. On your computer, open a file explorer and type / Batocera in the address bar. This should pull up Batocera's shared folders. In there, you'll find folders for ROMs and BIOS files. Just drag and drop your game files into the appropriate folders. Pro tip, make sure your ROMs are in the correct format for each console. For example, NES games should be .NES files, and so on. Also, if you want games to look their best, be sure to add the corresponding BIOS files in the BIOS folder. You can find out which files are required on the Batocera website. Once you've loaded your games, they might look a bit plain, but we can fix that. Batocera has a built-in scraping tool that pulls box art, descriptions, and other metadata. To start, head to the main menu and look for the scraper option. Select it, and you'll see a few different sources where Batocera can pull art and game info from. Now, if you're feeling picky, you can adjust the settings here. You can choose to just the box art, or even add descriptions and ratings. It's like building your own mini version of Blockbuster. Once you're ready, select Scrape Now, and Batocera will start working its magic. Now your games will look just like they did on their original consoles. Next, let's make sure our controller is set up correctly. Go into Controller Settings, select Configure a Controller, and follow the prompts. This allows you to map each button to make sure everything feels right for each console. Time to test things out. Let's jump into Metal Slug on the NeoGeo emulator. And there it is. The game that taught me jumping and shooting are viable life skills. This runs like a dream on Batocera. Smooth, responsive, and very 90s. let's rev things up with Gran Turismo on the PlayStation emulator. The game runs perfectly, giving me flashbacks to those days of racing with zero driver's license and way too much confidence. Let's try out Jak and Daxter, The Lost Frontier. Playing a PSP game on a Pi 4 with smooth frame rates, this is a dream come true for any retro gamer. now, Sonic Advance 3. This GBA classic is buttery smooth and looks great on the big screen. Sonic's got his speed, and the Pi 4 handles it all without a hitch. Batocera makes it all so seamless. The Dreamcast version of Crazy Taxi runs surprisingly well on the Raspberry Pi 4. Graphics are smooth, and it's got all the over-the-top action you remember. Just pick up those passengers and floor it to their destination while racking up some mad tips. Oh, and watch out for those corners. You'll either impress your passengers or make them regret choosing your taxi. But hey, they knew what they signed up for, right? Now let's jump into some arcade action with King of Fighters. This one is running the NeoGeo version, and it's a classic for a reason. The punches and combos are so satisfying, and the Pi handles it like a pro. Alright, it's time to bring out the big guns with Tekken 3. This was the game that turned your living room into a dojo. And today, we're reviving it on the Raspberry Pi 4. Just like the good old days, but with way fewer broken controllers. Ah, fun memories. Before we wrap up, let's talk about a few extra tweaks. Batocera has a ton of customization options. You can adjust video settings for each emulator, set up shaders to give games that authentic CRT look, and even overclock the Pi if you want to boost performance for demanding games. And there you have it. You've now turned a Raspberry Pi 4 into a retro gaming machine, all thanks to Batocera. This setup is perfect for diving into all those classic games without breaking the bank. If you enjoyed this guide, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more retro gaming tutorials. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming!